Hello all, I'm Rosemi, and today we're going to be talking about making your device more user-friendly and accessible, and we're going to be talking specifically about Mac computers. So, this presentation will cover vision settings, hearing settings, motor settings, general settings, and other resources. There's also going to be a demo at the end. Intro. So, though Macs are one of the most popular brands of computers, they are not always the easiest to use. Today we will be sharing a few things you can do to make different features on your Mac simpler to access. So what are accessibility settings? Accessibility settings are features on a device, for example, laptop, smartphones, etc., that can be adjusted to make your device easier for you to use. There are functions that can be enabled and altered to accommodate for vision, hearing, and mobility difficulties. Accessibility. Under Settings, open System Preferences, and then in System Preferences, you can open Accessibility. So once you click under Settings, that's right here, you can see System Preferences right around here. And then once you click on that, you can open Accessibility, and then you can see an icon like that. So once you open Accessibility, you can choose to add a shortcut to it in your menu bar. It's right there, and then you can check that box, and then a check mark will appear to show that you've added it to your menu bar, and then it's going to be right there at the right of your screen, right next to the date and then the Wi-Fi icons. Vision settings. So on your left side of your screen, you will see setting sections. And the first setting is vision. And then, so there are voiceovers, there's zoom, there's display, spoken content, and then descriptions. So zoom. In the zoom section, you can choose to enable screen zoom. You can zoom in on any part of your screen by using the keyboard shortcuts shown. So there are a bunch of settings that you can edit to make sure that you can see the screen clearly and that you're getting the most out of your device. And then there's display settings. And in display, you can change the display color of your screen, the contrast of your screen, and then the size of your cursor or the mouse. So that's this pointer that you use to click on things. Click on all the boxes and stuff. And again, there are many options that you can use. So display contrast, you can range it from normal to maximum, and then you can move the cursor size so you can see it when it's moving around. And then there's spoken content. So speech allows you to have computer alerts announced out loud, and then you can enable your system to read selected texts on your screen. You can also select the voice and the speed of the voice used. So here it shows system voice, and it's set to Samantha. And then the speaking rate is slow, fast, and normal, and then you can change it to make sure that you can find a voice that you understand and also change the speed so that you can really grasp it. And reading selected text can also apply when you're reading stuff on web pages. You can choose the text and have the computer read it out to you. Descriptions. So descriptions describe what is happening in videos that you are watching. This feature is subject to availability on what you're watching. So not every platform lets you use this option. And then here you can see audio descriptions provide a spoken description of visual content and media, and then you can check that box to enable that. And then we go over to hearing settings. The next set of accessibility settings are the hearing settings. So under that, the audio, the RTT, and the captions fall. So audio. Here you can enable your screen to flash when an audio alert occurs, and change your audio and play mono from your speakers. So mono basically scrunches the sound that you're hearing into one single track instead of making it sound like it's coming from around you. And then you can change those there, and here you can change it for it to be mono. Next is RTT, real-time text. In the United States, you can make and receive RTT calls on Mac models introduced in 2012 or later, excluding Mac Pro. You can set up Wi-Fi calling on your iPhone, and you can make sure to add your Mac as one of the other devices to be used for Wi-Fi calling. On your Mac, you can enable RTT, and there's that little checkbox right there. You can enable that. And then to send characters as you type them, you can select Send Immediately. And then you have to also enter the US RTT relay number, which is 711. And then there's also a little link here that we're gonna go to that will show you extra resources on how to use this option. So how to set it up, this link will help you sort of learn step by step how to go through this. Set up Wi-Fi calling on your phone, and these are the steps that we just went through. How to make an RTT call. So you can make, your Mac uses FaceTime for RTT calls, but you can start the call from either contacts or FaceTime. And then in contacts, you can move your pointer over a contact's phone number and then click the RTT button. That's that little button right there. That's what it would look like. And it will be placed right next to the number. And then in FaceTime, you can click the audio, that little button right next to the contact, or after entering a phone number. Then you can choose RTT or RTT relay call from the pop-up menu. When the call is answered, you can click the telephone symbol with like the keyboard next to it, and to begin exchanging text messages in real time. And so that's where it would be, and this is an example of your screen. That's where it would be. While texting, you can also speak through your microphone if available, and you can also mute your microphone using that little button right there. You can type your messages, then press the return or click the send arrow right here to send it. And then if Send Immediately is turned on in RTT preferences, the other person sees your messages as you type it. And then to hide your conversation, you can click the RTT button right here again. And then while the conversation is hidden, you won't see messages the other person is sending you either. How to answer RTT calls. When you receive a call on your Mac, click Accept to answer it. And then you can click the RTT button right there to begin exchanging text and messages in real time. How to end an RTT call, you simply click the end button right there. And so that's how you use the RTT. Captions provide closed captions to video content that you are watching. This is also subject to availability on what you are watching. So for example, YouTube and videos that are embedded within web pages, sometimes they offer captions and sometimes they do not. And you can change the way they appear. So transparent background would look like that, and then you can make it large text, or you can outline the text to make sure that you are comfortable reading the captions. Next is motor settings, and it's the third set of accessibility settings there are. And then under motor settings, you have voice control, keyboard, pointer control, and switch control. Voice control. Voice control allows you to edit text and interact with your computer by speaking to it. And then you can check the box of Enable Voice Control right here. It will be under that little description. And you can change your language, preferred mic, and many more settings. So language, and this one's set to English. And then microphone, there are many options that you can choose from. Yeah, and so basically you can give voice commands that allows you to and then allows you to edit text and interact with your computer by speaking to it. It allows you to give voice commands. And then keyboard. In keyboard, you can turn on sticky keys or slow keys, which means when you have to hold down a key, longer for it to work. And then there are also more keyboard settings under keyboard preferences, including dictation. And then here you can turn on sticky keys or enable slow keys. So slow keys are used when you take longer to type, and then so that the computer can actually type it out how you want it to look on the screen. Mouse and trackpad. So under mouse and trackpad, you can change the speed at which you do the double clicking. Spring loading is when a folder opens up when you hover your mouse over it. You can change how long it takes for it to open that folder. So going back to double clicking, you can change the click speed. So if you are a slow double clicker, you can show the computer that if you click twice within this amount of time, it counts as a double clicking. And then spring loading. So to open a folder, you can hover over it for a long time, and you can change that setting over here. You can make it short or for a longer while, and then it opens that folder without you having to click it. And then we enter general settings, and this is the last set of accessibility settings there are. And this includes Siri and then also shortcuts. So Siri allows you to use voice commands to get your computer to perform simple tasks. For example, tasks like composing an email, making a FaceTime call, or searching for something on the internet. You can enable Siri under the description. You can also give it a shortcut key that you can use to activate Siri, and then you can give her a simple command like, "Hey Siri, what is the best apple pie recipe?" And then it will go onto your browser and then find a good recipe for you, so that you don't have to do the work. And then shortcut accessibility settings. Here you can toggle on and off different accessibility shortcuts. So right there, you can change stuff, and then so shortcuts, either they appear on the menu, taskbar, or on the desktop, and it allows you to access those things easier. For example, like zoom keys. And then other resources, you can directly visit the Apple accessibility webpage over here. And then other accessibility resources that you can download on your computer, tablet, or phone are available in the Cyber Seniors training and resources area too. So we can go over and yes, and in this link you can find a lot of resources that will help you go step by step and adjust your Mac to make sure that you are getting the best experience out of the device. Then next we'll have a live demo by Carly.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. All right, I'm going to go over a few of these things in a little more detail to give you an idea of how to access your accessibility settings in the first place, and then what it can look like in practice. To get started, you want to open up your system preferences, and there is a few different ways that you can do that on a Mac computer. You might already have the app in your dock down at the bottom. If you see this bar full of applications, it will look like this one, a gray gear. You may recognize it as the same or similar icon as your settings app on your phone. And all you need to do is click on that and open it up, and it will look a little something like this. Another way to find your system preferences, if you don't see it on your dock below, is you can search for it in Finder. Look underneath your applications folder. Will be another quick way to find it. As there it is right there. And then the third way to find system preferences is by clicking on the Apple icon, which is in the top left corner of your Mac, and then by clicking System Preferences, which is the option right below About this Mac. And all of those will just open this same application. And here is where you can make a lot of different settings adjustments to your computer, including looking at your Apple ID, seeing the general settings, changing your desktop and screensaver, adjusting your dock and menu bar, notifications, language, and much, much more. But today, of course, we are focusing on accessibility, which is the option right here. So you'll see this little icon that is a blue circle with a little white stick man inside of it. So double click to open up accessibility. And from here, you will be able to access all of the functions that we have mentioned in the presentation. Unfortunately, I cannot enlarge this. So if you're having trouble seeing it, then I will just do my best to dictate what it is that I'm doing visually. So if we go down at the bottom of this little pop-up, we see the option to show accessibility status in menu bar. If I check this little box, you will see that now in the top right of my screen, there are many different little icons, including one for battery and one for Bluetooth. And then over here, once again, we have the same familiar accessibility icon, the little stick man in a circle. And now if you click on it, this is a shortcut to access this accessibility settings just by easily clicking on this icon at the top of your screen. And it's just a quicker way to get to some of these functions without having to open up systems preferences first. So if we go over here to the vision settings, the first one is voiceover. And here, if I click enable voiceover, it should begin to read out the text on my screen. So let's give it a try.
Welcome to VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks descriptions of items on the screen and can be used to control the computer using only your keyboard.
All
If you
right.
already know how to use VoiceOver, press the V.
But if not, basically now that VoiceOver is enabled, it will read everything that is on my screen in terms of the text. So whenever you open a new application or enter a new website, it should read out the text on your screen, which again can be very useful if you have vision difficulties or experience blindness. And you can enable that and disable that as you would like. Remember, all you have to do to turn it on is press the little
Welcome
check
to
the little
VoiceOver.
box.
VoiceOver.
Moving on to Zoom. As mentioned, you can use keyboard shortcuts to Zoom. You can also use the scroll gesture with modify keys to Zoom. And you can decide what Zoom style you want. And of course, when we talk about Zoom in this context, we are not talking about the video calling app Zoom that we are currently using to talk to each other. We are talking about the term for zooming in and out. Zooming in, of course, is to make the items on your screen look bigger and to get closer, whereas zooming out does the opposite. If you don't already know, the gesture to zoom in on your Mac trackpad is to use two fingers, usually the thumb and the pointer finger, to pinch outwards. So you put your fingers on the trackpad together and drag them away from each other, and that is how you can zoom in. And then do the opposite, drag the two fingers towards each other to zoom out. Moving on to display. Here is where we can change how your screen looks to make it more visually comforting or appealing for you. For example, if we click on invert colors, if you can now see, my screen has been inverted. So I find this a little disconcerting, but perhaps you would prefer it the regular way. So you can, again, check the box to enable it and uncheck it to have it back to normal. There are also options to reduce motion, increase contrast, reduce transparency, and much more. I would suggest you play around with these, click on a box to see how it changes your screen, and if you prefer it, you can keep it as such, and if not, you can easily go back to how it was before. If we click on pointer, this is how we increase the size of the cursor that we see on the screen. At the moment, it is somewhere in the middle. I can make it very large. As you can see, the cursor has grown quite a bit, or I can make it quite small. Again, if you have vision difficulties, you might find it helpful to make it a bit larger so that you can more easily follow where you are on the screen and identify where it is that you're clicking or where you want to click. And then we have color filters as well, which is just another way to change the colors of the screen. Then we have spoken content. And this is similar to voiceover, but you can select the voice that you would like to use. There are many different options. At the moment, it is in English, but if you speak another language, you can change your language if you go back to the language settings, and then you can have it speak to you in another language. And you can also choose from a variety of accents in the different languages. You can choose whether you want it to speak announcements, speak items under your pointer. In that case, if you were to hover over something, it would read it out to you, and other options as well. And I'm just going to skip forward a little bit so that we can see a few of these other ones before we go into breakout rooms. If we go down to audio, here is where if you have hearing difficulties, where this could come in use. For example, you can choose to have a flash screen option when an alert sounds. So if you have difficulty hearing alerts that come onto your computer, you can instead check this box so that when an alert sounds, your screen will flash and visually indicate to you that you have a notification. Down here in captions is where you can enable subtitles for videos. As mentioned in the presentation, this may not work on every single video or website, but in cases where it does work, it is incredibly useful to be able to have these closed captions to indicate what is being spoken, again, if you have hearing difficulties. And then you can change how you would like the subtitles to appear. For example, the font and style. You can also add more fonts or styles, increase the size, and more. And then here under voice control, it allows you to edit text and interact with your computer simply by speaking to it. And if you do enable voice control, this allows you to give it commands such as to write a text, to schedule an appointment, to go to a specific website, and more. So it's a little bit like Siri or another artificial intelligence, but is just another part of your computer that you can enable if you like. And then it is just an easier way if you have difficulty navigating the keyboard and the trackpad, then perhaps this is something you would like to try out to simplify the process of using your computer. And then I think the last thing I will show for now is the keyboard settings. And if you click on this, it tells you that full keyboard access allows the computer to be controlled with a keyboard. So again, this could be an alternative to using the trackpad by allowing you to control everything on your computer by simply using your keyboard, which could potentially be helpful for certain people in certain situations. And that is all we are going to show for now. So thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to learn more, you are welcome to book a one-on-one with a Cyber Seniors mentor by going to our website or calling our number 1-844-217-3057 to register for one of those individual sessions over the phone. We also host weekly tech drop-in sessions if you have any questions that you want to pop in and ask from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And if you would like to donate to Cyber Seniors, you can use this link right here, and it is always appreciated.